Put in the right seat, please. You sit.
No,
you guys are going to switch.
Oh, we're going to switch.
Oh, it's musical chairs up here.
God, I'm just all over the place.
Try them all out. Make them the way you like.
Is there a fake voice mic?
Okay. Yes, refill your coffees. Is everybody awake now? We're going to get into some serious business. We're going to talk about everybody's favorite subject, GDPR. We've been talking about GDPR at this conference for the last couple of years. People have been anxious about its coming, wondering what it will mean, and now the laws are in effect and the rules are here. So we're going to talk about what it means, almost 1 year in, not quite, but what it means for marketers and how it's affecting the business. So let's start by introducing yourself and your company.
I was sent to learn the Data Protection Act, which was pre-GDPR. So when I joined the club, before GDPR, we did a complete review of how we handle data, and we aligned to the Direct Marketing Association best practice. So our approach from a consumer data collection standpoint was to do no pre-ticking of boxes and double opt-in, etc. So we weren't really at risk from a commercial standpoint going into GDPR, but obviously GDPR is far-reaching and it's not just about the use of consumer data. So from a club perspective, we had to do a complete audit and understand where data was being collected across both the commercial side of the business, where all of our revenue generation happens, and then the footballing side, so where all of the player data, the youth data. And I think we did, the audit took us we started 18 months before GDPR came in, and that took us probably majority of that time, and I think we found over 800 different types of data that we were collecting in different locations, in different formats, from pieces of paper all the way through to structured data sets. So that was the approach that we took to identify those, and then obviously the legal department and our IT department, which led the program, they ended up having to do a DPIA, Data Protection Impact Assessment, for every source, so all 800 sources, and then an action plan around how they would then deal with them. So that was what we did.
So I don't think we were quite as thorough as Arsenal, to be honest. So we're a B2B company, so we don't really send newsletters. When we have kind of incidents, so we had a visa service out, or opted into email or not. So we kind of rely on the fact that we don't send newsletters as such. We worked very closely just to make sure that we're sending information that we can send based on the other kind of reasons to talk to someone. So whether it's contractual, whether it's so we don't really use consent for our email marketing because it just isn't applicable to what we're doing. So for us, it wasn't actually that much of an issue. Bring the data for our customers. How are we capturing data on the websites, how are we using that data in terms of our remarketing activities and things like that. So for email, it wasn't that much of an issue, but throughout the business, it was quite a challenge.
Did it hurt your email lists, either one of you? Maybe not, Jacques.
For us, no. I think I resonate with what was said yesterday, actually. I think GDPR has had quite a bad press for it being about the fines, and actually when you strip back and you get closer to the detail, it's about empowering the consumer. And basically it's about, if you've got a relationship built on trust, so you're collecting data in the right way, and you're engaging with your audience in the right way and utilising your technology platforms, as we've just heard, actually it's an opportunity, and we very much treat it as an opportunity. We're well known for being quite a conservative organisation, and what we used to do was have about 3 opt-ins on everything we collected. So rather than just get somebody to opt in once, we'd ask, do you want to opt into a newsletter? Do you want to opt into the club? Do you want to opt into hearing about the club and its commercial partners? So invariably, people just tick the first box and never the other 2. And as a business, we're challenged on collecting data for our commercial partners. So what we did was we stripped back our opt-in as a result of GDPR and moved to a single opt-in, which encompasses our partner data and the club. So what we have seen is a marginal decline in what we would previously called first-party opt-in, so the amount of people that would want to hear from the club, but a massive increase in the people that are then opting in to hear from our commercial partners, and obviously that helps us sell a better story of the amount of fans we can engage in directly. So ultimately, and also when we implemented that, GDPR had come in. So what you're dealing with now are consumers are much more aware of their rights as individuals and their right to be forgotten. So effectively, you could argue, would we have seen that drop off anyway with all the publicity around GDPR? I mean, it's one of those things you'll never know with hindsight, but we're seeing much stronger engagement. We're seeing a much more open relationship with our fan base. And actually, what we found is we produced a bit of content with one of our players. He's no longer with us, Jack Wilshere, but getting a player to talk about GDPR is really interesting. But
what did he say?
Well, anyone that knows Jack Wilshere, it was like very monotoned. Yeah, you know, it's important you tick this box if you want to hear from the club. You know, but it works, and just being brutally honest with people. And one of the things that I'd like to see us do actually is be even more honest and just talk to the fans around actually the opportunities if you do opt in, and we can use your information on behalf of engaging with our sponsors. That helps drive revenue into the club, which then helps us buy better players, helps the team perform better. And actually, if you're having a really open and honest relationship, then people will buy into that journey and you bring them along with you. So we're slightly different in that actually by our fans giving us their data, they're actually helping put players on the pitch, which is an interesting concept.
So we didn't really actually see any changes to our list, but I think what you're touching on in terms of the consumer trust side of the GDPR is something that as marketers we all need to be aware of. We're not trying to trick people into getting onto our list. There's kind of potentially, hopefully, a benefit for customers to join our lists, and we should be able to communicate that. And if we can't, maybe we need to revisit actually what we're doing.
So actually GDPR has helped you guys with your marketing strategy, it sounds like.
Yeah, I think definitely.
It's definitely made your team more visible in the organisation because suddenly when you put a number on a fine and then you look at what's happened with, I think in France where they're going after a €50 million fine for, is it Google? I think it is.
Google.
Yeah. You know, that's going to be interesting. That grabs attention. So suddenly they want to come and talk to you about what you're up to, and it's got a bit more focus in the organisation, which is good because then it makes it a lot easier to try and hammer home best practice. Because I think I've talked about it before, but a football club, we're a series of number of different businesses. So if I talk to my head of retail, I just want to get as many eyeballs on this as possible. But now we can also use GDPR to actually influence a better behaviour within our internal stakeholders, which again drives better engagement and it helps support the building of our strategy.
You mentioned the Google €50 million fine. Do you think that's just they're being set as an example? Do you think we'll see more? Are you guys worried about this type of thing? I
don't feel particularly worried about fines in terms of GDPR. The legislative bodies have been very clear that they're going to be working primarily with organisations to make sure that they comply with the law first and foremost. 50 million for Google is kind of nothing, so it's sort of meaningless in the grand scheme of things. I think what's more potentially significant is, so there's a recent study, recent white paper released by the DCMS on what they were calling fake news and looking into kind of data practices by Cambridge Analytica and that sort of thing. And I think that potentially is going to be more impactful in terms of the public kind of perception of data compared to kind of these big fines.
What do you think it does with consumer trust? Do you think it improves the relationship?
I think you need to educate the consumers because, you know, we live and breathe GDPR, and I guess if you asked everyone in this room, they'd have a slightly different take on what does it mean. So I think it's just important that it's about being open and honest with people, you know. We want your data because we want to give you a better experience with the club. You know, the more information you give us, the more that we can personalise that and stop putting irrelevant content in front of you. And we've already heard about it earlier around, you know, building out those experiences. So I think that builds the trust and making sure that not only it's not about just disengaging from our content, but it's around us finding out why people are giving us their data and then turning off from our brand. Is it, you know, some of the information that we're sending out, is it not being that relevant? But also it's about building out that data profile as well. So I think, you know, it can only be good if you follow it in the right way. And it's a massive opportunity for brands. And I think to Jacques' point around the commissioner, I know in the UK, you know, their focus is the same. We're not here to hinder business. We're here to put a structure around data, because data is all-encompassing now. It's on every touch point. You know, we were talking about going up in the mountains and tracking what we're doing. That's going on a website somewhere. So it's, you know, everyone just needs to be aware of what their data, where it's going and the value it has attached to it.
I think actually that's something that people now sort of are starting to understand, that they have these online profiles that are sitting across multiple kind of businesses and multiple places online, and there's a certain degree of trust now in terms of who they're willing to do business with. Because sure, I could sign up to a random website and who knows where that's going to go. I think we see various kind of high-profile data breaches that are happening. So there's, I think, one happened recently with over a billion kind of email addresses and passwords, and you know, these sort of things are high risk. And as a company, we also then have to be very careful about what we collect and how we store it, because suddenly we're kind of going to become a target for these things.
Have you changed anything based on that, or are you just looking at it?
So I'm being quite careful. I think it's just operationally, making sure that everyone understands the value of what we have. And so they're, you know, basic things like lock your PC and don't share Excel files with kind of plain text, kind of anything that shouldn't be there. Just general best practices. And I think actually GDPR did quite well in making sure that some of that was enshrined within law. So I think we're moving towards the right steps.
And as you mentioned, just all of the data that's being collected and all of our devices, do you think that it's kind of empowering consumers to be more in control and have more knowledge about their information, and then sort of set the relationship up for what they're willing to give and what they expect from you? And then how, as a brand, do you respond to that?
Yeah, I think so. You know, consumers, we do. We use a social sign-on, single sign-on platform, and we haven't started using it yet, but we'll start doing progressive profiling. So rather than ask a load of questions up front, we'll just build out that profile over time. We use a online. We track every aspect of our digital estate, and that feeds back into a view of that customer. So it's also not necessarily asking the consumer to give us all that information. We just let them know that we can track that information, which lends to itself to a bigger experience. So people are more than aware of that, and more, you know, there is always a rise in queries, surprisingly, when the team is doing badly. So people have been using GDPR as a way to take their frustration out in the club, and we don't see a massive amount of complaints. I mean, we're a brand, they are fans, and they want to hear from the club, so we're very lucky in that aspect. It's not like we're actively always selling. You know, a lot of what we put out there is content about the team, etc. So we don't get as many complaints as, say, maybe a brand that's pushing out a lot of acquisition. But we still get, you know, maybe 10 to 20 requests. A lot of them subject access requests. And so we have to explain why we have their information. And actually, the most painful part is the data. Well, we don't have to do a lot of data portability. Again, we're lucky. Not many people are going to go, actually, can you give my data to Tottenham, or can you give my data to Barcelona? So we don't have to worry about that. But again, in some industries, especially telco, if you want to go from Vodafone to O2 or something, I'm sure you can ask for your data to be transferred. So, you know, that's more problematic for those businesses. But we put a lot of structure around our data, so that it enables us to react in an appropriate time frame. So we hope that builds a better relationship with the fans.
Yeah, I think just carrying on with that, I think it's just all about trust. I do notice, as both a marketer and a consumer, that certain businesses will try to bend that degree of trust with me. So, for example, I've been talking to a large retailer recently who have been sticking things in their emails that potentially they shouldn't, because they don't tell me that they do this. So they're using double-click tracking. They're using Facebook link trackers within every single link for their email. So I've asked them to stop. Of course, they can't, because they can't personalize on a per-user basis. And then also, so one thing that I've been kind of thinking out loud to myself recently is email open and click tracking. How many people here tell consumers that they do this within their privacy policy? Not many hands, but you're all sending email and tracking. And then, so if someone objected to that tracking, what do you have in place to deal with that? Do you unsubscribe, or can you actually turn that tracking off per user? And in most scenarios, the reality is, no, you can't. So that's something that as an industry, we still haven't kind of figured a way around. So I think we've got a long way to go, but we're getting there.
And I also think it's opened the doors for us because, again, legitimate interest comes into play. So I don't know if people here are using legitimate interest, but obviously it's very clear around if somebody's buying a product from you, you don't necessarily need an opt-in to carry on communicating. So if you're a retail brand, you don't need to get them to opt in. So if you've got a guest checkout facility, what we've done is we offer an opt out because they're buying that product. You then have a right to talk to them about similar goods and services without a marketing opt in. And I think that's misunderstood across industry as well. So it makes it more challenging around not confusing the user when you're signing them up. Do you offer an opt-in, and when they don't opt in, do you offer them opt-out because they're buying a good? You can't do that, so you have to work it out. But we're moving our retail team, our hospitality team. They're all moving towards the use of legitimate interest because, again, being conservative, we're probably under-marketing to people, and I think there's a lot of confusion out there between GDPR and what legitimate interest provides. So yeah, that's also a area of interest, which is great. I mean, we have situations, for example, and I sit there with my legal team and I argue with my legal team probably every 2 weeks on this because we sell membership, and that membership then entitles you to buy a ticket to a game. So the legitimate interest is they're buying a service to buy a ticket. If they're not opted into marketing, they're not being told when the tickets are available. So they don't then get alerted, so they don't buy the tickets. At the end of the year, they go, I don't want to renew my membership because I'm not getting any tickets. But legal is saying, well, they need to be opted in. And I'm like, well, I'm not actually doing my job if I'm not telling them when they can use the membership that they've just paid for. So, there's some healthy debate that goes on in that area and how we can work that out. But that's definitely an area that gets more focused now as consumers, because when consumers think, oh, I don't want to be marketed to, but I do want to hear about when the games are, and I think there's a bit of confusion there in their minds. And so, again, you just have to work hard at nurturing that relationship. We also do a lot of reactivations, and re-engagement activity. So yeah, all of those programs to try and keep consumers informed around what they should be telling us, giving us permission to do.
I've actually completely forgotten what I was about to say there. That's not great.
Well, what advice would you give to people in the room who maybe aren't totally compliant yet but are trying to get there?
Work on it. It's a process. You're not going to be hit with a £20 million fine. Just work on it. Be aware that there are shortcomings and that they need to be overcome. You'll probably have a competitive advantage if you do. I think as consumers become more aware of legislation, they will seek to work with retailers or seek to purchase from retailers that actually follow the law and are honest and open about what they're doing and how they're collecting data.
The ICO in the UK were quite clear in some of the talks I've been to, which is no company is ever going to be 100% compliant. You're always going to be moving towards compliance because of just the way it's quite a general, I suppose, policy, which is trying to be all-encompassing. So by default, with what was negotiated, you're never going to be able to reach that. But it's about proving that you are moving towards it. And again, it's about acting responsibly. And if you're doing that, then you'll be fine. But if you're not, or you're on the other side and you know that you've got bad practices and you're not doing anything about it, then that's going to be the challenge. But, watch that space. It'd be interesting to see what happens with that Google fine, because I imagine if they've been doing it in France, they've been doing it all over Europe. And if, suddenly they pay France, are they going to then have to pay all of the other member states as well? Because I'm sure that data protection policy is for the whole of the European Union. So it'll be interesting to see how that falls out. But then you're seeing some other fines of lost kind of data keys. I think Heathrow lost a data key. It only had information on 50 employees, and I think they got fined £100,000 pre-GDPR. So it'll be interesting, and you know, what lawyers love is case law. Until they've got case law, they're probably going to be acting on the side of caution. Once they've got some case law to know about, then I think it'll become a bit more clearer around the boundaries within which we can operate to driver compliance.
Interesting. I'd like to open up to questions. Anybody in the audience? Questions for these guys? Okay.
Hi, I'm Radu from Travian Games Munich. I have a question regarding how do you use the data, data you collect from email on the other channels. So we all know what GDPR means in terms of email, but for example, Facebook custom audience or Google or Twitter campaign, this is pretty much a gray zone, I would say.
It is. Obviously, what you can do on Facebook has changed as a result of GDPR and also the Cambridge Analytica thing. Again, I think the Cambridge Analytica thing is quite bad because it's always used as a bad example, and people always go, oh, but that's Cambridge Analytica, and it's like, that's not anything like Cambridge Analytica. They were getting data that they didn't have a right, and they were mining for it. But where we use the social audiences is we can only load our opted-in data into Facebook. So Facebook changed it before you could go after similar audiences. It's a bit weird, our relationship with, or what Facebook tell you. So they tell you you can only go after people that are opted into your brand on their platform. And I argue with them, well, it's your platform. If they've opted in on your platform, surely then I can talk to them if I know that they like the club. But they've gone very conservative on that. But then they don't mind you they will help you find like-minded audiences. So I think it's still a bit confused around how they operate. So I can't talk to people I know that are on my database that aren't opted in to me, but I can use Facebook to go after people that aren't opted into me. So I think that is very confused. But we take all our data and drive multi-channel strategies. So it's, you know, through our platform, we just moved on to Cheetah. We do email, SMS, we're looking at push notifications. We use another platform called Thunderhead, which allows us to do digital personalisation. So again, we take that data and it all sits within our single view, and it's all in our privacy policy, which we review on a regular basis with our team. I think, so I hope that answers your question, but that's how we tie all that data together. But obviously, like anything, and we've heard it earlier, you've never got enough resource to look at all the data that's being collected. So it's around picking your battles and knowing which ones are going to drive the best value into the club.
I think so long as you talk about it, the usage you want to do within your privacy policy, you have a good reason for using it, so presumably legitimate interest, I think it's completely fine. I don't think you need explicit kind of an opt-in consent to remarket to people through Facebook custom audiences. You just need legitimate interest.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
We're going to take a little break now for coffee, and then we'll get started again in about 20 minutes.
Thank you.
Okay. So refill your coffee, use the bathroom, enjoy.
So how do we get on screen tonight for most people to do that? It's just is there a slide in our presentation? Just put that
Yeah, you just come and whack. Today.
You want yours in there?
I'm trying to get.
Morning, Jeff. How are you? I met your lovely wife as well, by the way. She's lovely.
Thank you. Do you want yours in there as well, or because we're just going to like do screen and just this information?
I'm going to add it. I'll just subtract it out.
Do you know what it is? People just ask what it is. You might as well put MBIS on the
Yeah, that's cool. Do you want? Oh, so you want all three of those in there?
You can probably just do cheap digital, but like people know these things.
I see. I see. Okay.
This is at Cheetah Digital.
At Amit Kira.
K-H-E-R-A.
Sorry, I just screwed that before. I was doing this now, so you I'm probably on the phone into another event.
No, you're fine.
And it's cheap.
I'm going to do it. I'll try to do it in two places. At the moment, I'm trying to get the next presentation going. That's cool stuff. So I got to work on it. But when we come back, I'm going to switch
Jeffrey's like
to this.
Do you have that saying in America? Flying by the seat of your hands?
Yeah, no kidding.
Oh, that winging it, right?
It's been okay, hasn't it?
And Jeff is actually very good at that. So,
It's been okay, hasn't it?
It took years.
It's on his business card.
Yeah, listen, I'll leave you guys.
I'll throw it up and we can have it there. And then maybe during the round table, on the round table sign, I'll leave it up
that's awesome.
top the whole time, and then you can like print it out or grab it.
And I'll reference all this.
So I'll just throw it on the round table sign. It's always there.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, thank you.
Idealist. Yeah, idealist. We'll do it.
Do you have it on live here? Go stand in the line. Alright? Hello. Okay. Yes, Giro. Go.
Hey.
Yes.
Good. Not that. I'm not taking on brilliant. Not that. Only one. This is fine. Now you get the when it's like players.
I know, I'm not like a small child. You're talking about that.
Coffee. What are you finding out? Oh, and I'll show you that video I watched. That would be really cool. Did you hear what they did? They jumped in the river. I'll show you. I watched some video put on the Superman. This guy's doing that. Yeah, where everything is. Yeah. Okay. I'm here for a while.
Hey, me again. I have an idea. Can I connect my laptop? It's not that easier?
Let me show you what I did.
Okay.
Here. We can connect your laptop if you find that that's an easy way to connect. Well, you play from, give me 2 seconds to type.
Yeah, right there.
Over here.
Kind of bells.
No, no, no. No, I don't think that was. Okay, let me show you what I did. Three things. If we play this, and and we're on your presentation. So you get introduced, you start your show, you're clicking with the thing that clicks through. You don't, the question is, do you want to go to this one? No, okay. So we get to, right. So we get to the one, this one has one, but I'm not sure that does anything. Okay. So if you go to this one, so what I did was I set it up so that it goes to full screen. I don't have it up there because I'm switching computers. But, and then I can just move it back into the presentation, and you just have to kind of, you're walking around, you kind of point to which one, and just say, now look at this, it has fireworks, or ask me, and I'll flip it over. So I'd say that, so just flip to full screen, and then I can bounce back into where we were. Okay, that first one, let me back up. We'll go to the fireworks, and then let's go down, and you've got 3 or 4 on this one. This is the one with a fold over the corner. Oh no, this is a good one, yeah.
And also at the bottom you have the arrows or
Right, and move across. Are there arrows? Oh yeah, it's barely in there. Oh no, that was actually a quick way. Alright, well.
it's better because there's no limit.
Yeah, the thumbnails will do.
And I think it's also
So this one did the carousel. So one on here is good. This one did the corner fold, but it's up to you. You can just say, and I'll flip over, they exist. And then I think you had the one where the book opens. It opens up, yeah. So, and that looks pretty cool. So you come to the full screen, open up the book, and it opens all the way up.
and here maybe we can
Yeah, lights off. Yeah, I like that. Good. Okay, so I think that'll work.
The building is the beginning of the street with the signs, the overlook building. This is our office. They know the whole building. Yeah, right. Yeah, it's very to the airport. From here, it takes 20 minutes to the airport. It's amazing. Work there just when you have lunch break and all the tourists taking photos. I work here. Yeah, it's great. So what do you do? Okay. In summer it's really great. Yeah. Yeah, it's really this harbor area. And the opposite of this of your hotel, it's inside. With a colored they're building houses for living, for travel tourism, their own marinas, just from the marina. So really, yeah. So I knew all of it when it was really just flat and they're building up to years. So you should think about it the next time. The office.
guess we'll sit there.
Okay, is everybody ready to get started again? I have a quick announcement before we get started with the panels. It was pointed out to me that dinner and cocktails tonight, the time that's printed on this is correct. The time that's printed on the PDF welcome packet that we sent you is off by an hour. So we're actually starting cocktails at 18:30, 6:30 tonight. Cocktails up at Mocking, which is the restaurant right up by the beginning of the gondola lift to the top of the hill. And dinner will be at 7:30. So it says it's an hour later in the PDF. Don't listen to that. 6:30 and 7:30. Now we're going to try to meet at 6:15 in the hotel lobby, maybe 6:20, and we'll arrange some taxis for the people that would like to ride over. It's not too far, but it's about a 10-minute walk to get over there, a little bit further. So it's right at the bottom of the lift, the chairlift that goes up in downtown. The restaurant's called Mocking. You can look it up and see. Cocktails will be at 6:30. Dinner will be at 7:30. You can either join us, get some taxi rides, walk over. Doesn't much matter, but 6:30 and 7:30. Okay? Diana, you're up.
And the locals are saying this is a great place.
Yeah, it is. It's supposed to be a really good place.
Yeah, all the locals are like, I've been wanting to eat there forever. So, so we're getting to do that. It's going to be good.
So we're preventing them from doing that by taking all the tables. Okay, cool. Welcome back. So for our next session, we're going to have a panel about automation, a topic we've been talking about a bit already. So Kath, please join me in welcoming Kath Pei, CEO of Holistic Email, to the stage. She'll be moderating, and the panelists.
Is it working? Yep. So, oh, there you go. I learnt this time, no more long skirt. I've got actually trousers. So, we're here to talk about marketing automation. I'm going to let the panelists introduce themselves. As you know, you've met me before, so I won't talk about me. But Leonie, would you like to kickstart?
Yes, of course. Yes, it works. Hello, I'm Leonie Bakker. I'm from New School Media. We're a publisher, and we're sort of old school media, to say. We publish magazines. Because we just started from a big company, we started in 2014, we sort of made a jump into marketing automation. And I think...
we're going to find out all about.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, my name is Hans Groen. I'm from KPN. It's a leading telecom provider in the Netherlands. With a 100-year-old phone company, now evolving to internet and TV and stuff like that. And I'm responsible for the email team, and we do the marketing automation.
Yeah, and hi, I'm Eva Schneider. I'm from Rakuten, Germany. We are an online marketplace, so any kind of merchants can come on our platform and sell their goods there. I think the more, or the USP of our marketplace is that you can always get super points, kind of what Myreed already explained yesterday, like this Rakuten umbrella. We have the cashback bonus called super points, so the more you buy, the more you save on your next purchases. Yep.
Great. So we're going to have lots of fun delving into what it is that they do. I just wanted to kickstart though, because I have the privilege of speaking all around the world. And often with that comes being interviewed. And there was one interview, it was quite funny. The question that was asked of me was about marketing automation. And they said, how can you make marketing automation human, more human. And I thought that's really quite strange, because if you think about it, right, obviously they're coming from the technology perspective. They're thinking about that it's actually, you know, there's a touch point and it's all automated and it's just technology driving it. But at the end of the day, if you think about that touch point has been created by a human. It's our customer. So it's either an actual touch point, you know, as we saw with Timo, with those digital, you know, touch points earlier and everything, or even possibly something that they didn't do. So in my opinion, marketing automation is innately human. We write the emails, of course. We're understanding that there is, you know, an actual kick-off point, and we are there to solve a problem. And I'm going to come to that in a minute. The other thing, too, that we found out, so last year, LiveClicker and I performed some research on customer experience. And we identified that there were 3 pillars to customer experience. One of them was personalization. Another one was helpfulness, and the other one was customer centricity. And those 3 pillars really, really help to bring this whole customer experience, which I think marketing automation very much addresses and really helps. And one of the things that we found when we actually went and identified, you know, we looked at a whole heap of BAU, regular campaign emails, and also marketing automation emails, is that the majority of the marketing automation emails are actually, they scored very, very highly on that customer experience level because they were innately helpful. They were innately customer focused. They were innately also personalized because it was talking about a particular touch point, right? So this is one of the things about marketing automation that it's a no-brainer, really. And we heard with Rianne this morning how, you know, it's actually driving, because that's basically what all of those programs, those win-back programs, the browser bannerments and everything, that's all marketing automation. So what I'm wanting to do is because the last thing we want to be doing, though, is actually creating programs just for the sake of creating a program, right? Just because, okay, tick and everything. We want it to be actually solving a problem. So what kind of challenges do you guys have, or have you had, that you've actually been able to address using marketing automation?
I can comment on that.
Yes.
The problem was, of course, we started a new business. We had 18 magazines, and we had to start all over. And then we had all the subscriptions, so business as usual went on. And then we had to start somewhere, and we only had newsletters and we had a database. So that, but then you have the staff problem and the efficiency. So we knew marketing automation could help us to reach all those people, to help them in their journeys, with only a few people. And throughout this mechanical, I don't know, this system or the technique, it makes it possible for us to send, I don't know, 10 million emails in a month to all our subscriptions.
So very much scalable.
Yes, exactly.
And the resource.
Yes. Yeah. So that's what it does for us. It's the efficiency. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly the same. Like it's a time-saving feature. So, for example, I'm the only CRM person in our company at the moment. So, like setting up something that's does the work for you, of course, it's a big opportunity. And so, my job is then to realize, like, what kind of decisions do I want this automation to be doing. So, for example, we realize a lot of people are buying the goods that they might want to buy again in the near future. Like, so we build up a rebuy campaign for a certain kind of products. So, like, we have millions of products, but we also have pet food, for example. So if somebody buys pet food, he will probably need it again in a month. So why not setting up a campaign around it?
Yeah, for us it's efficiency and effectivity. And looking at efficiency, I think that for the old way of working we had, it took us at least 2 weeks from the design, the start of the thinking of an email campaign until the campaign was sent out. Working with an agency and going back and forth to get a good email, get a good campaign. Now we do this in 2 days, and well, it can be faster, of course, but that's the normal way we work in. So that saves us 75% of our time. That's efficiency and effectivity. We've seen that the way we work now to be more personalized, and with the more trigger-based mails we have, that's the best way to be with the right message on the right time. We see that in total, I think the effectivity of our emails campaigns has doubled. So yeah, that's the biggest benefit.
Yeah. And again, I mean, we've heard a couple of times now about marketing automation. You know, just how even with Gonzalo, how they're actually really well received, and therefore they're actually delivering the goods. One of the things, though, so you're sort of saying, okay, it's helped with the resource, but you've still got that challenge of the initial getting it up and happening, because they're not easy to do, are they? So you've got the strategy behind it, you've then got to actually create it all, and this is generally on top of your day-to-day BAU emails, getting everything out as usual. So how did you go about doing that? You had an easy one because you basically started from scratch, didn't you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you don't have the big history and all the politics in a company, it's everything you do is good. So it's a lot easier for me to start with it, and it's how do you do this? In advance, I didn't also know. So it's sort of a learning a trip. And you start with one campaign, and it works, and you test it, and you see all the good results, and now it solves a big problem, and then you go to the other one. So that's how it was for me. But it must be, when you have a bigger company, it must be a really different.
Yeah, definitely. We had a running business, and that has to go on. Well, we have more than one brand, and that made it a bit easier, I think, because we started with one brand, a smaller brand, and there were a lot of problems with data and stuff like that. So the campaigns were not performing that well. So we decided to stop campaigning there and do a freeze, a total freeze, and start building an automation from the ground. That took us always longer than expected. I think 9 months or something like that to get it up and running, including integrating with our legacy systems and stuff like that. And then we started learning, and then we could very fast do the same thing for our major brands. And we could just start with small steps, and now all new things we develop, we do that just with small steps. So one thing at a time. So that's basically the two things you can do. You can say, well, we just freeze the business as usual, and we understand that we'll take some losses. Otherwise, take small steps.
Yeah, I think start with something, like find a balance of starting with something, but also with some insights. So because you don't want to be changing your automated processes every week or months again. So do some testing before, find some insights, what works best, and then set it up. And hopefully like then optimize it later on it again and not leave it.
That's fantastic, because there's that mindset, great, it's automated, so we can just set and forget, right? Yeah. But that's not so. You know, all three of you have said that you're basically iteratively learning from it. So you're implementing a program, and then you're learning from that, putting in other programs and everything. But does that also mean that you stop working on that first program, or have you built in to it, some sort of an A/B split test that's going ongoing, and you're learning from it. Is that what you've actually done?
Yes, we do. Yeah. We're always
Explain.
testing. And that, to me, that's very important to keep testing. Even if you test something now and you think, well, variant B is the best, so we go on with that one. Next week or next month it can be different because the time is changing, people are changing. So always keep on testing. Every time you will get better and better and better.
And what kind of things do you test? Is it just like elements, or is it actually motivations? So elements like, is it just the subject line or the call to action, particular, maybe the placement of the copy or the imagery or something? Or is it actually what is motivating? So benefit versus, a loss aversion or something like that?
It depends on the stage of development of a campaign. In the beginning, we take the bigger choices. We make bigger choices. So let's see what's motivating people. Then the change can be big, or we try to totally different designs and stuff like that. And when we choose between them, then we go on optimizing within one template.
And Eva, what is it that you guys do?
We have a few. So especially like for our loyalty program or loyalty super points that we use, we have set up programs to remind people on using their super points in order to make another order. So that's always like the best working case, to have another touch point and trigger to activate users again, and maybe in a later stage to reactivate them again and give them like a bunch of more super points to use. So we really try to focus on this asset instead of like over incentivizing everything with coupons and stuff. So, but to also make them come back and see the benefit of realizing the USP that we offer.
Now tell me also then, when you're actually looking at the programs and you're looking at the results and you're sort of delving into it, are you actually learning insights about your customers? Not just on the program, but absolute total insights about your customers. What's making them, function? What actually excites them and everything that you can be putting into other areas of the business.
Yeah, you learn from them, of course, and not from the automation bit, but on the reaction part of all your campaigns. I always take some time to read and to monitor all. We have we call it close alert in Holland. I don't know if you have the thumbs underneath your email.
Oh, yeah.
And I use it a lot to really get to know what my message does to my audience. And then people they say I'm happy or I'm not happy, but they give you also a good reason. And when you go through that, you use it to monitor a campaign if it's working. But if you don't do that every day, but you learn so much small things about your audiences. And because we have all those different groups of people, it's really good to get to know them and where they're at in their sort of journey.
Okay. So for those that aren't aware of what it is that Leonie's talking about, because it's actually a Dutch solution.
Yes,
yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's funny.
So it's really, really popular there with you guys, but it hasn't quite spread as far. So in the UK, I think TfL started using it, but essentially it's just sort of like it's like that smiley, happy face type thing. Is this good? Did you like this? Was this helpful? That kind of thing. So you're just sort of getting the sentiment as to whether that's a good program or it's a good email.
It's only the sentiment of your message. Yeah. And not it's not a survey, how is our product and stuff. You don't want to do that, but you want to know if this message is it doing the right thing to the person on the other end of the email, on the line, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, we use it as well, and it's very helpful, and not only for getting to know your customers, but also for direct feedback on how the campaign is performing. And within 2 minutes after sending out your campaign, you have your first reactions, and then you see, whoa, it's not working on this and this device or something like that. So it's very easy to make changes then, very fast. So that's good. That's cool. I find it difficult to really learn about motivations from people just from the reactions of emails. Yeah, because it's just some opens and clicks, and sometimes you can see what are you clicking on, but it's difficult to really know what drives them. So what we do to really understand our customers is meet them in groups like this, round tables, or do surveys, and so we just do qualitative testing of emails with people, and then we invite some customers and we ask them, if you see this mail, what do you read, what do you see, what do you don't see, and that's the way we get a lot of knowledge from our customers.
But I made an automated program for surveys, so along as the journey goes on with us, and then once a year you get the question or the questions I want to ask. So, and then I only have to get to the results page and then ask somebody to make more nice reports.
Yeah. So Eva, you mentioned like a replenishment program that you have in place. So that's for, like you said, pet food, and I guess a few other specific products that you have that would be. What else, what other marketing automation ones do you have in place?
Yeah, as I said, like the focus on the Superpoint whenever you have them, but also, we have a big chunk of one-time buyers that we kind of struggle with to reactivate them, because the way people come to our website is definitely for best priced products. So if we don't offer the best prices, then they will probably buy with another company, because it's nowadays super easy on Idealo to see which products you want to have. So we created a one-time customer journey where we try to trigger automated campaigns based on their life cycle, so where they are, and also on how much money we want to spend to get them back. So we start with the low-cost marketing ideas, of course, first with email, but then we can also move on Facebook ads, and then later on have post mailing set up. And this is kind of an automated process. And of course, we also try to segment within that and the content that we offer. So, because we have millions of products, and if a user bought an iPhone for the first time, we don't really know what are they gonna buy. Are they gonna buy a fridge, or they will not buy the same product again? So we try to also look into what categories are most relevant next, and yeah.
So that's one of the things too. I did a study last year, and I found out that a lot of the retailers actually don't, and this is really, really quite surprising, they don't have what I would call a second purchase program. And so that simply is a case of, and thinking about a retailer, it's not unusual for a retailer to have 80% of their database or thereabouts made up of one-time buyers, right? And so it's actually a very, very big business challenge for them to actually get that second purchase and so on and so on. And so, this is the kind of thing that marketing automation can really, really lend itself to. And I sort of said yesterday in one of the roundtables that the whole idea is for you to understand about your data and about your customers, and work out what is it, how many times do they need to be buying before we can actually say, you know what, they're sticky, they're good clients, and we're happy and everything. And then maybe that's what you want to be doing, is using that marketing automation to actually be, essentially, if you think about everything that we've been talking about, it is helpful marketing. That's what it is. You're holding their hand, you're guiding them, and you're not leaving it to chance. That's really what it's all about. Now, if we start to think about that, then, are we making these very just static emails, Or who started to use some sort of AI or machine learning or recommendations or anything like that? Has anyone got to that next stage? Because that's when we can start then really getting quite sexy, very, very helpful, very personalised, and also even if it's a case of, one-to-one emails. Is anyone there yet?
Yes, we do that a lot. We, as a corporate, we have the resources to have an analyst and stuff like that. We have our business model is subscription based, so we don't have the one-time customers we have to go after. But people buy subscription with us, and then they will stay at least a few years with us. But still, we have a lot of product categories. We sell some products in. It's not a long tail, but so we want to understand how we can help our customers the best, and in what product category, or maybe we should focus on enhancing the service or focus on loyalty programs for them. So that's what we use predictive modeling for, to make sure that we send the right message to the right customer.
They are not listening to us.
Oh, God. You like it?
Are you going to start dancing?
Dave.
Put it here on the screen.
We also want to see that.
Yeah. We were talking about
AI is so boring. Marketing automation.
It's automated. Unless it's me.
It was an automated mail, right?
Video in your mail, great. Autoplay. So where was I? AI. It was about AI.
We can get some coffee, I think.
So and we're looking into AI right now, and it's not only about email, of course. It's about it's in the heart of the CRM machine to understand your customers better, and AI can help with that if you have a lot of real-time data. Especially AI can help, I think.
And so you're a large company with large resources, and you're kind of going to be on the cutting edge as such. You're embracing all of that. What about you?
Well, we did a machine learning test. We didn't do it ourselves, but our partner did, because we were the ones building up the data for 3 years. So they just had somebody do that project. But I haven't had the meeting yet from the results. So, and then we started out searching for the next best level. Next best offer. Excuse me. And because we have a food magazine or a truckers magazine or something with making your clothes, so we were searching if there was a better business opportunity. But now they said we can predict the churn from all of your clients with a 89%, sort of, right, secure, So I'm really curious, but I was going here, so I don't know yet. Yeah. Maybe next week.
Okay.
So
the future could be exciting.
Yes, exactly.
Excellent. Yeah. Excellent. And I guess because with both of yours, it's definitely well worth it, because it's that long-term membership. So your customer lifetime value as such, it can be impacted quite significantly by by getting that investment in, using a bit of machine learning. So absolutely. What about Eva? What are you guys up to?
Yeah, we're not that far yet to use any machine learning, but I mean, still we saw some good examples yesterday already, like depending on the content you have and kind of what customer you're dealing with. Is he like already a really loyal customer, or is he a new customer and he needs more education, and need to take him more on the hand and guide him through and tell them again about the benefit and the USP. So based on that, of course, the email should always look different, or the communication should look different. But yeah, we don't have any machine learning as that. I still have to talk to customer service and see like where their needs are, or look at the data myself and find out those triggers or touch points. Yeah.
I think AI and machine learning, it's getting more mature every day. So in the near future, you don't need a whole department with analysts to be able to use it, I think. We heard from a few vendors, they already implementing the first AI things in their platforms. I was talking to Bram from Tripolis, who's telling he's setting up a hub where they can work with other partners, so then you can have a small company doing AI connecting to their hub. So that makes it maybe easier for smaller companies to start with AI without having a big platform from a big vendor. So I'm sure the future will be bright.
Yeah, absolutely, very, very true. And you know, because that is also one of the challenges, and that's what we wanted to talk about too, is about like the team setup. And you've got, you know, particular skill sets required. You've also got then the data, trying to get all that happening, plus the wonderful marketing automation technology and everything. So I can, again, the structure of your teams and everything would be incredibly different. As we know, it's just you at the moment. So who do you have to work with, though, to make this happen? Or is it just 100% you?
No,
You've got your data team that you
not
need
at
to
all.
work
No,
with.
we have a data team, a data hub team, so they can, be kind of the in-between service of BI and me as the person who is more operational. So definitely, yeah, we need more data scientists. Like we need people who know how to work with the tools that are coming up on the market. So this will definitely be the future. Like probably there will be still people working with campaigns and working on a creative side or overlooking it, because we also don't want that AI acts in a way that all the companies are doing the same thing and nothing is interesting or fun anymore. But yeah.
It's interesting. I've been talking about AI, machine learning and personalization for quite a few years now, and I still think it is. That's the case. I call it it's the wild, wild west. It's really, really difficult because everyone comes at it. You know, all the different technologies. They're all coming at it from different perspectives and different types of learning and everything. So it is going to be a case of you guys working out what works best with you, finding the right supplier and everything. But for me, the big takeaway here is not just marketing automation, but it's about we as marketers needing to upskill ourselves to the next level. And that's really what it's all about. Yeah. Because the technology, the AI, all of that's going to be taking over a lot of the things that we currently are spending a lot of time worrying about doing and everything. It's actually the marketing know-how. It's the understanding what to do with it, how to do it, the strategy, and then able to read the results, take those learnings away, build upon it, and improve. And I think that's the really exciting thing about, you know, marketing automation for the here and the now. We are still, yes, we're all learning from it. It's working wonderfully and everything. We've still got our challenges, but I think the future is kind of exciting. What are your thoughts on that, Hans?
I spend a lot of time training my sort of old school marketeer colleagues to learn them all the steps I learned in the last 2-3 years. So they can also use all the techniques and to learn what they need to know about their data. It's their data, their customers. It's not my customers. I can always, most of the things start in the center, and then I have a sort of an example. But if they don't know what's behind it, then there's no follow. Yeah, it'll stay with one campaign probably, and then it falls. Nobody measures the results in the end. So I'm really trying to educate them, sort of. Mm-hmm. And you also see that some people which are older, I'm sorry about that, but they don't get it anymore. They don't know how to make the next step, and you see the younger marketers, going, taking the step easily.
But see, I mean, what's your title again?
Marketing Automation Manager.
Yeah, okay. So obviously you've got the buy-in from the company. They're actually understanding, and it is a case of then making sure that everyone is beginning to understand how effective marketing automation can be. But yes, it is all about those insights about the people, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Hans?
Yeah, we started to train our marketers, our brand marketers, in data skills. And the other hand, we trained our analysts to understand the marketers. Because it's getting more and more important that they talk to each other and that they understand each other and that they work together. So in working together, we have organizational changes. We work in Scrum teams, we work Agile. So and they are together now all week. The marketing manager started with changing the title of his department from marketing into digital marketing. We from the online department thought, what's he doing? Why? Digital marketing, they don't understand it. But it was his first step, and after that, now he's trained all his people. It's really working out, yeah.
I'm going to finish off with one very typical question that we tend to do in panels. Actually, I don't do it very often, but I'm going to ask you, what is the one thing, like really one thing that you would recommend to the audience here to be doing with marketing automation? What has made the difference for you? You know, what gets you excited about it?
Yeah, I think of something, but it's not very. I don't know if this is the thing you're looking for, but I say clean your data.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. That's sort of the best thing to start with, and also from the whole process afterwards. So. Yep.
Yeah, I fully agree. It's the one thing it starts with. Your data has to be right, and if your data is all over the place in 20 different systems, you will never be able to start a good marketing automation, and it will take you ages to get it running. So please first invest your time in cleaning the data, and then you can start having fun. Yeah.
Yeah, and go deeper. Like start with the simple, and then go more complex, deeper, more diversify, and test again after some time, because time changes and the business changes. Or so what worked last year doesn't work this year again.
Fantastic, solid advice. Thank you very much. Okay, over to the audience. Any questions? Oh, Dave!
He's going to show his movie.
Hi, Dave Holland, live clicker. We've met before. You knew I was going to have a question. Okay, so I've got 50 questions, but I'll try and put them into one summarised question. We're a third-party vendor. We specialise in automation. There's MoveLink here, there's Cheetah, there's ESPs, there's Adestra. So I'm kind of asking this on behalf of all of us. So in terms of your relationship and thinking about third-party vendors, if you can help us out here, we bring a lot of what brands need in terms of AI and automation. Nobody mentioned so far, they're not here, but Pasado, Phrasey automated, subject lines and so on. Just generally, is it, when you're making a decision about third-party vendors and how they fit into your, is it the time we can save you? Is it the work that we can short circuit because we've already got it built into our capabilities? I'm really interested in the thinking that goes in behind that for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyone from a small company or big or both?
Anybody. well, enterprise, yeah. Enterprise.
Yeah, we're sort of we have maybe like 180 persons in our company, so we're sort of big, but not on this part. We're not so big.
People think big.
Yeah, we think big, of course. But for us, we are looking for sort of complete. We're looking for a partner who can be our technical support, also who can be our sparring partner for also the planning for the future. Which choices do we want to do now? And we don't have those roles anymore inside our company, so we're looking for partners who we can trust, who who works like with us on this journey. That's what we're looking for.
Who can make you smarter?
Exactly.
Yes.
Yes. Like more like sort of a colleague than yeah. That works the best for us.
But also it has to be very intuitive to use, like very easy. Like as she said, yeah, like we're one person, like we can't spend too much time digging really deep inside a tool and not understanding it, and in the end, not really using all the possibilities that it has. Yeah, I'm getting frustrated by that. So yeah, there should be a big part that's easy to use, and if maybe other packages like that you can use further if you're a bigger company or.
Yeah. For enterprises like APN, it's a little bit more difficult maybe. And for me, I'd like to work with the same partners where for my technology as for my marketing, creative help and stuff like that. Because I see a lot that the marketing consulting parties come with ideas which have technical impact, of course, and if then another partner should do the technical impact, then the technical implementation, then they have new ideas and we'll never get there. So I try, together with the marketing department, we try to work with the same partner to first help them, the marketing department, to get a better idea of what they want to get out of the market, and then do the implementation as well. And yeah, then we still have IT departments which have their own opinion about how IT should look like and
Really?
make or build decisions and stuff like that. So they prefer to build everything themselves. So yeah, it's complicated in enterprise.
It's also really beneficial if you partner up with like the ESP, and it's more intertwined that that we see that yeah, for example, we can have an overview, a dashboard like based on what we have with a third party and have it integrated in our ESP, so that like you talk to also the other companies out there and find solutions that make it work really easy.
So, Gonçalo from Galp. This is more to add to the discussion. It's not really a question. So, I've used automation actually to as a complement because our app, it's evolving, but it's not very intuitive. So we kind of used email to explain the features to the clients because we have the email. So we have kind of closing this loophole until the app is actually improved. So that has helped us increase the customer engagement on the app. And this automation, we actually do always 3 tests, and then when we find the better one, we put as an automation. So we do like a normal send, and then when we find the best one, we include the automation, and then we build it up until it's closed.
Okay, so you will do it as a campaign send, yes, as in testing.
Yes.
Find out the winning one, and then actually do.
Yeah, and then insert.
Okay. Can I have a little hands up? Who actually puts in like an A/B split test for your automated programs and keeps running them on and on and on until they hit, the significant, statistically significant level, and then they go, great, we've got a winner, and now we're going to replace the losing version with another test. Hands up, who does that? Okay, so that's a good percentage. Cool. Because they're both fantastic techniques, and it just depends on, and that's always a really good way to start, but then maybe if you're wanting to be iteratively, continually improving, you could be doing that. And that's the beauty about it, is that A/B split test is going to keep on going and going and going.
In the campaign. In the automated campaign.
In the automated campaign, yeah. It's really cool.
I'm not doing that yet.
Okay. Do it.
Yeah.
Hi, Anoop, Digital. Thanks, guys. Anyway, for me, it was more about your customer experience and customer sets, right? So you have email automation, journeys, life cycles, what it may be. How do you deal with customers that are going to be in more than one life cycle, right? Because they're not just in one, right? They're not just in this. They could fall in many. How do you deal with getting them to drop in and out of the right journey, as opposed to sending them blanket communications just because that's a retention campaign versus a welcome campaign? And that's just from my experience in the space that I'm seeing brands struggle. So, over to you.
Yeah, it's a difficult one. What we do is we, well, first of all, the transactional emails will always go out. And then all other lifecycle programs we have, or automated programs we have, we say, I think it's max one mail a week we send. So other mails will be dropped and will be sent a week later. That works for now, but yeah, we're still looking into whether we can do that better. And currently, I haven't seen a solution who can help us with that.
Call me.
I'm curious.
Again, when the AI happens, what a leader.
I think, yeah, like, I mean, we're trying to create a scoring based on the customer and based on that scoring to fit him into different segmentations that maybe stop the user from getting, yeah, crazy messages from with kinds of different directions. But yeah, we don't have a really good solution yet.
Our complete business rules are on the data, and because we started with the business rules and the data and the journey and all of that. Our system we use is built on that. So now I only have to use it. So it's really sort of easy for us. I don't know, but it works. So one commercial email a week, newsletters all the time, whatever. It's more of a, more the interesting information, and then it seems easy. I don't know. I don't know what you offer, or what you mean exactly.
But see, that's because you started from scratch, right? So you kind of started from a really, really good place. And you also started with the strategy first.
Yes.
And often it is a case of, if you're sort of, you're just here, you've been doing this for so long this way, and now you have to bring something in, it's a challenge to sort of go, okay, what are we going to be doing here? And so, so you are very, very lucky.
I'm lucky.
You are lucky.
Any more? Oh.
Hey, is that on? Hey, Frankie from Long Tall Sally. I just had a question around, in your experience, people who are doing this well, what proportion of their email revenue is coming from automation versus like business as usual?
It seriously depends. It depends on how many programs that you've had, right? So we heard from Rianne, right? So what? It was 50% of their.
It'd be at 55, 57% in a normal week. In a very, very promotional period like sale, it will skew the other way, and you'll get a lot more from blast emails. But normally it's around 55, 57%. Including transactional emails.
Yes, because they actually drive a fair bit as well. Absolutely. So the main thing is that you need to be, benchmarks are fantastic. Benchmarks comparing to everyone else and everything, but the bottom line is the best benchmarks, are your own. And depends on what particular programs you've got in place and how many programs. Not on the high street have created some really, really fantastic ones. And a lot. It's mainly the browse ones that actually bring in a lot of the revenue, don't they? Yes. Yeah. So but But that's not to say that those first purchase and second purchase, third purchase, fourth purchase programs, aren't valuable. They are, but they're a little bit harder to get right because it's a different level of intent.
Okay.
So, Kath, it's my turn to embarrass somebody. I'm going to embarrass you. So Kath runs amazing training courses, FYI, and she keeps it, she's very modest about it. Is there anybody here that's been trained at some point by Kath? 1, 2 at least in the room. Fantastic. So Kath, you do a great job, and anybody with any common sense will send their staff to you to train.
You're very sweet, thank you.
No, it's true. Not just sweet.
That wasn't a question. That was a comment.
Oh, the question is, how much is it? Yeah, see Kath after.
Call me after.
Call me.
No,
Thank you, guys. Let's give these guys a round of applause. Okay, our next talk, we're going to hear a little bit about email design and how it can be applied as part of marketing strategy. So please join me in welcoming Radu Nieg from Travian Games to the stage.
All right, hi everyone. Or should I say, Servus. We're in Austria, right? We have some Germans here. And where's the local? Here is the local. Okay, so I will jump directly into the presentation, and I want to ask you how many of you here are playing games? Browser games, mobile games, PC games, console. So mostly everyone. So yeah, that's fun. So we have the games, we have the emails talking about, and we're in Austria, so I think it's already a great day. Yeah, let me use the slider. So first, to present myself, I'm Radu. I'm coming from Munich. I work at Travian Games. We are, I would say, the major. We are the major gaming company from Bavaria. We do mostly browser games, but also we have PC games, mobile, and I'm the CRM representative there. So I would say I take care of the retention and reactivation in our company, focusing on automation, of course, email journeys, and mostly everything. But today I will talk about email design, or let's say redesign. So we all know that personalization, segmentation, automation, and all the others are really important in our CRM program, but what about the design? So this is our topic for today, redesign as strategy. So we started by analyzing our players. So we have, I would say, also old players, not as age, but when they registered, and also new players, because we have different projects, strategy games, train games, sport games, and so on. It was pretty hard to find all the objectives to improve our revenues and retention rates. But after dealing and finalizing, let's say not finalizing, but dealing and doing all the user journeys, automation, and all that stuff, we also try to focus on email design. So we started we wanted to improve the layouts of our emails from flat and standard ones to latest design techniques. So we used advanced CSS, interactivity. We also used the hybrid approach to keep up with the game redesign. Because the games evolved from a year to another, but the emails stayed, let's say, old. So the objectives were to design for engagement by following the brand guidelines to increase the open and click rates for a better conversion. So I choose this case of Rail Nation. It's about trains. So here is a sneak peek from the game. It's a browser game, so you just registered and play. So I forgot to mention, this is a freemium industry, so you can play for free. You don't have to pay. But if you pay, you have, of course, more advantages. So that's the game. First, we analyzed from previous campaigns where our players open the emails and on which platforms. So here is the share. We ran this analysis using Litmus tracking link. So we had around 200K openers when we targeted the whole database. And we found out most of them are Gmail openers, also webmail, and of course Apple. So this is our first email. It was like 4 years old. It's announcing a new round in the game, because the game is a round base. So after 3 months, you start again if you want and play again. So here is the full email on the left. This is how it looks like. And we started coding and testing to change that. Definitely we used Litmus, and I'm happy to share that we code our own emails. So we had the opportunity to play with the codes, to start new, to have new designs, and testing it in all inboxes. So I would say, if there's to have a general rule in email marketing, for example, to have a constitution, the first article will be keep optimizing, keep testing, keep changing, because the changes are good. So this is a new email of that previous one. Respecting the brand guidelines, we change the complete template. We use 2 CTAs, so one at the very top, so you can directly jump into the game, or a second one where you can redeem an incentive. We use the hybrid approach, and the email is localized in 19 languages. So the way we work is creating a template in Salesforce. We use the exact target, and based on the template and using dynamic content, we send the email in 19 languages based on a language preference of a player. This is the Outlook fallback. You all know Outlook and other clients blocks images, and because we use the text approach and not the images approach, you can still have something in the email when you open an Outlook, so it's not just blank. Some results, old versus new. We had 50% revenues uplift, also 8% uplift in the activations, so reactivations, and 37% in the click rate. So we did the same for another campaigns based on the previous one and based on the results. Here is an old email to celebrate the birthday in the game, and here is the new one. Maybe we can show the live preview of the email. Hopefully it's working. So yeah, we implemented some fireworks, of course, because it's a birthday to celebrate. We also described what's this about. We offered an incentive, and of course, every time when we have the birthday, we also offer a flash sale. All right, we're back. We also did it for another template. So this is mainly for our VIPs. I'm not sure if this is actually working. No, not this one. Yeah, so this is for our VIPs. We try to make them feeling special. So this is mainly the copy here, the text. So based on a Litmus study from last year, bringing interactivity not just to email message but also to the inbox itself, turning both into a conversion channel. Also from Litmus, here is the market share of the email clients. So definitely we have Apple and Gmail, which made us to continue improving our templates even further. So we started with another campaigns. Most of them are triggered emails. The others are just one-time events. When we launch new trains, because it's a game about trains, we had some image carousels inside, and also the before and after effect directly into the email. So basically you can navigate and to see how was the train before and how is it now. And here we have a showcase of all of them using the image carousel directly into the inbox. Of course, doesn't work everywhere. So yeah, you might know the list. It's a long list where interactivity is working and not, and the CSS. But of course, you can promote the web version of the email. Thank you. We also have some results from all of the revamped campaigns. So the first uplift in the click rate, it's 23%, so overall for all of them calculated. And an uplift in the click-to-open rate by 35%. This is another one, my favorite. We launched a new game, a mobile game, last year, right? And we choose to use the storytelling approach in our email template. So you can give the user, the player, a hands-on perspective directly from the email. So after opening, you have this. I'm not sure if you can see it. So this is the full email here. Maybe we can click on it. There should be a link. Yeah. Because I use some GIFs and... Yeah, so because it's a mobile game, we promoted the App Store CTAs there. So you start by showing the game key art, then you have the welcome. We had this is a real racer, Formula E from Germany. He's presenting to you, he's introducing to you, so he's introducing you into the game. Then you have the steps, ready, steady, go. You have some GIFs, you already see the game here in the GIFs. And you continue, you go further to see what's the game about. And at the very bottom, it says continue the race. So basically you install the app and of course start racing. Oh, sorry. We also have some results here. So the storytelling email versus the classic promo email. So the cross-promotion one just announcing the game. We found out that the click rate increased by 45%, and also in the click-to-open rate, we have more than 100% increase. This is mainly because, I guess, the last CTA, which asks you to continue the race. And also we got many more installs from this template. It was the same on an A/B test. Right, so much about our work. What can I say? I mean, nowadays, with all the CSS possibilities and the clients evolving, we can have we have the opportunity to be creative and to start coding using new and more and more approaches. So we can explore the possibilities of email marketing to have more engagement. This is an idea. We sent this for Christmas to our players 2 years ago. The idea is from an agency, a British agency called 1973, I think. So after clicking on the open the book, actually you open the book, and you also can have the opportunity to close the lights. So this was more B2B email to our partners. All right, I think I was pretty quick. I'm already at summary. All right. Okay. So firstly, let's sum up. Improve, increase revenues. You can do it by redesigning as well. Align your design to the brand. Images, colors, fonts. Implement latest design techniques. As I mentioned, always test. And be creative every day. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Radu. That was fantastic. I'm curious, when you started this sort of redesign approach, how do you get the buy-in from your senior marketing members and for other team members when you also have the job to, business as usual, keep things running?
Yeah, definitely. As I mentioned, I'm focusing on retention and reactivation. So mostly my job is CRM related, beyond this, all the design stuff. But because we are a gaming company and everyone has a chance to be creative and to gather and implement new ideas, I also had the chance in our CRM marketing department to be creative. So when I found some time, I started coding just like that, just because maybe I love the design part. Also, there's an amazing community on Slack, Email Jigs. All of you know about it. Yeah, so it was pretty easy to start being creative. And also, of course, the leads supported the idea. Even more after the results.
I bet. You proved yourself. Any other questions from the audience?
I have a question about how do you go about the process of creating the email? Do you design it like in a paper or something? And also, do you, like visually, it was also appealing? So you code, but you also have to like match colors and everything, not just colors, but actually like the email. So how do you go about it? It's a team, it's just you, how do you?
Yeah, so usually it's let's say more or less conversation between me and the brand manager. So for let's take a new campaign, right? We have to promote something new into the game. So usually I create a sketch on a paper with a pen, a very ugly one. So I'm not even going to Photoshop or asking an artist to do that. And after planning the template, then I start coding using some image assets. So usually I request these assets because I don't spend time creating everything in Photoshop. We have the artists. But I would say I do mostly everything. So from coding to choosing the colors, because we have some brand guidelines, so it's pretty easy to pick the colors. I also, if you saw, I played with some gradients, so just not to be really plain. Yeah, it's pretty flexible. So then I request the feedback. We can go further if someone has new ideas. It's mainly my job, even the text copy. So, yeah.
No. Hi, Tommy, Adobe. How do you target the young people, because they connect with you differently? They don't read that much emails anymore. They open the app and they read the inbox messages probably in the game. How do you deal with that?
So we do different segmentations, I would say pretty advanced ones. We target new players, young players, old players, yeah, of course, active, inactive, based on payment and so on. This is created having the young players, so having this in mind, the emails. But what we found out, this is working really great also for old ones. Not, again, as age, old into the game. So I think having more simple emails, interactive emails, also helps the others to connect better with the brand. Yeah, definitely, especially on mobile. Yeah.
Arnaud from Star Stable. So I saw some very nice interactive emails, as you were mentioning. But as you said, you're not able to open those interactive emails depending on your browser or the system you use. Are you able to segment the people depending on their email box types and send maybe two different versions, some that are maybe a bit more flat and some maybe more interactive depending on the segmentations you use?
Yeah, we do. We can segment based on device, also based on if it's mobile or desktop. But what we do, and it's easier, I think, to have the fallback version coded in a way to look good also on these clients. Otherwise, we have to start not only coding to have two different emails, but also to implement them in our ESP and to send them in different languages. So I think this will require more work. So you already saw the Outlook fallback. So this is what we try to do, to have a pretty close approach for these ones, but yeah, without imagery, without styles.
Any other questions?
So just with specifically on that Outlook fallback, are you detecting Outlook at the moment of open of the email, or are you segmenting based on history you've collected?
It's segmented, so it's not let's say
it's not
live data.
It's not real time.
No, it's not real time. Probably in the future.
Yeah, call me.
So many phone numbers being exchanged. Any other questions? Okay.
Jack, Payment Sense. So what you've shown is obviously very technically sophisticated. Do you think there's a degree of, a lack of technical competence within the industry to do this sort of thing?
I don't think so. I think it takes... you need to invest more time in everything. And I think in the industry, of course, everyone is focusing on the most important parts, the automation, the user journeys, and the other CRM parts. But redesigning is also keeping the steps, let's say. So it's also a way going forward. You cannot promote redesign or a new product using old templates, and maybe it's not for each case, but in our case it's easier because we can code and we can design the emails using the brand guideline from the products, which is game-ish, so you can be creative, it's fun. So I wouldn't do this probably for another business, a more cold, rigid one, but in the gaming industry I think it's pretty easy to have something creative.
Hey, just a quick question. Like, do you send only one language, or do you use different languages? And if so, how do you go about all the design and the translations? Because also when you translate in different language, the length of a copy is different. So just
exactly. Yeah. So for this, so for the first game, the showcased, we use 19 languages. And for the oldest one, called Travian Legends, this is like the Beatles of browser MMO games. We have 40 languages, so even Arabics and everything. How we do it? It's coding the English part, and then requesting translations. We have a localization team, and having everything back and implemented as a dynamic field directly into the template. And of course, we check most of the languages, the most important ones, I would say. And if there are differences, we maybe increase or decrease the font or the alignment and so on. But yeah, you cannot change that much.
Any other questions? Okay, well, if you think of anything, Reddy will be leading a roundtable, which is right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, before we do that, real quick, you actually reminded me, this young man reminded me that you're all part of a community that we're trying to build here in Europe. It's our 5th year of holding this event, and we really are wanting to create an email marketing community from these events. So we're holding these twice a year. We'll be back again in June. Maybe somewhere in Spain, we don't know yet. We're trying to figure out exactly where. I'll be polling each of you to find out your thoughts on where we should go next. But it'll be somewhere warm with a beach, we promise. But one thing about this is, we want you all to communicate with each other outside of this event, leading up to the next event and in the future. So part of this is we share your email addresses with each other. We don't share them outside of this room, but we share them with each other. If there's anyone in this room, this is my GDPR statement right now, if there's anyone in this room who does not want their email address shared with anyone else in this room, you may go out and tell Julie out front at some point here, and we'll remove you from any email communication. But the whole point is, again, building a community that transcends markets and borders and really brings the email marketing community together as a whole in Europe, and not just in your own provincial states and countries or whatever. So I just wanted to mention that because we will be reaching out to you all for thoughts and feedback, and a survey we'll probably do at the end of the show. But we also want to make sure that we can share your information with others in the room because they want to meet you and know you. So that's all I have. We're doing roundtables?
Yes,
yes, we are.
Do you
okay.
have the...
John, do the top.
Yeah. Where's Anoop? Did he leave? All right. Is anyone from Cheetah here still? This man. Okay. So the Cheetah folks here, remember, cheetahs on the slopes. Hashtag cheetahs on the slopes. Don't forget to do that if you like GoPros. If you really like GoPros, do that. There's some amazing photos actually that we saw yesterday. So at Cheetah Digital or hashtag cheetahs on the slopes for this opportunity to win this GoPro, which we don't know when we're going to give that away. When? No idea. In fact, we're not even sure there's a GoPro. We don't even know. We don't even know. Yes. It's probably one of those cameras that you... and then it was one of those. Sure. Okay. Thank you. All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. All right. So we're going to move into roundtables, then lunch, and then we're going to go have some fun. Yep. Okay.
Jeff, do you have the...
Oh, the cards. That would help. Actually, we'll just do this.
Okay.
Yeah. We have 4. Let's just go right here. Just start right away. Or here if you want.
Okay, yeah. So I'm just finding where...
Email redesign.
Okay.
You can just go off the screen if you want.
Oh, they're on the screen. Okay. Email redesign, let's do right here.
Right here, email. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Email redesign with Radu right here up in this front table. We're going to do customer loyalty with Rian right here. Oh, right there. Over...
GDPR.
GDPR
right here.
With Mick back there. And email automation with Kath in the back corner. Okay, so email redesign, front corner. Rian, you're here.
Nope. Actually, she's
Customer
right here.
loyalty.
Yeah, just next table over.
Oh, sorry, right there. Kath and email automation is back there, and Mick and GDPR back corner over by John.
No, GDPR. Oh. Customer loyalty. Here we go.